Okay, welcome everybody to the January 11th Breeze Line meeting. I'm sure you know most of the people here. I believe, I don't have any minutes from the last time we were here. We haven't seen you since last year. I know that we had some issues that we were discussing with you. And one of the things that we were asking for was a performance report. Have you sent anything to us?
In respect to a performance report, I'm not, in what respect, in what exactly, what we have with us today is, what we did on the last meeting, was to define, where we were in respect to trouble calls.
Right.
We did see a nice reduction, in respect to trouble calls, and it was around the line of about 2%. And
2% is below industry average, so it is a good number.
Well, it was, the total number was at 4%, we were at 6%. So we were thinking, was that more due to the seasonal factor that most of the individuals have left because it was more due to the summer months? Or was that something, the new process that we put in place that ERIDA's team in respect to having staff on site at all times to address any type of potential concerns, if that was the cause or the.
Thank you very much. I'm sure it was everything 13.
Well, exactly.
We'll accept that.
So
What about the one of the overarching situation with boxes and all that? Have we gotten that under control?
yeah, so in respect to overall TCs, the videos, the internet, all that, we saw a nice decrease across the board. The other aspect of concern that was addressed was equipment being viable within the store location. That was addressed. So what we wanted to do more so is to see a continuation of that, right? Because we were looking at it more toward the summer months data and taking in the factor that maybe I guess the seasonal aspect, right? We want to say, okay, now that we're in season, do we see a bump right back up to where we were before, or do we maintain the same levels? So that went ahead and put together for the meeting today. We took October, November data. January 11th, so we're just filing, obviously December's numbers. But as of right now, we're pretty much in line as well. So what we'll do is we'll have ERIDA and her team and Freddie can go discuss where we're at with the TCs, the overall percentage, and then take a look at the days in terms of scheduling. Marielle will discuss where we're at in respect to the storefront, and then I can go through any additional questions.
If my recollection calls, one of the things we were supposed to do, get monthly updates on this information.
Okay.
And I know that we did not have a meeting sometimes because you couldn't make it or whatever, holidays, whatever it is. But from this time forward, we would like to have some kind of, even if you're 30 days behind, if you give me a November, because January you haven't closed out, but some kind of issues, complaints, so that we can track and we can see, is it our clients that are having an issue, or is it you have an issue? And that's the information that we need to be able to. Sometimes you get a complaint, someone comes in and says, listen, I called up and they can't see me for 5 days or 6 days or 7 days.
Right.
And if I see your report that says that you're responding within 48 hours, I can sit with you and give you a compilation and saying, listen, what your numbers are telling me and what we actually have walking through the door is two different things.
Right.
But we need something every month to be able to bring us up to date as to what the issues are.
Okay.
Today you're gonna give us an oral report.
We will.
Right.
It'll be an oral. What we can do is go ahead and provide that information to Ira. He can go ahead
I
and
need,
pass it.
right, I need that in writing. Whatever you're gonna
Yeah,
supply
on
me
an ongoing
today,
basis.
please email it to Donald,
30 days.
ucomaintenance@gmail.com.
Wait a minute, we got an assurance last meeting that we would get this.
Well, we haven't gotten it.
Is it not here now?
No.
They're in person.
We do have
We're
it.
hearing in person.
Yeah,
in person.
Okay. But that was one of the things that we requested, and we haven't received it.
No,
So
and if we could get it a little before the meeting to let the
Right.
committee members digest it, it
Right.
makes for better conversation at the.
Right,
100%. So that's something that we can do.
right.
When is the February meeting, just to be clear?
We could try to make it we're gonna try to make it every month. I know we went to a quarterly, but we need to go back to, I think, a monthly, if possible.
Okay,
to
so
get
let
these
him know
reports.
as quickly as
Right.
possible, and if you
Right.
can,
Yeah,
and bring the legacy you have. We understand that you may
If
not.
you give me a couple of dates around the same time next month, like a Wednesday, if you would let us know, and then when Carolyn comes in, our administrator, we'll see if we can put you on the schedule for the same time next month.
100%. The only thing that I do ask is just, in this particular situation, it's perfect, right? Because we have a notice.
Mhm.
I believe we were given, it was a week in respect to this one, so
Yeah.
we put together as much data as we could. But I think that's
Right,
perfect.
we're on the
You
same
can
page.
30 days, if you want to schedule this sometime in the middle of February on a Wednesday, that's not a problem. We can
That's
go ahead
right,
and be here.
that's all.
Or in the middle of the month of February. Ira unfortunately was unable to attend, wasn't feeling well, and so, but he will be typically.
Yes,
But I will tell you, based on the feedback that I've had from Ira, he's said overall, things have slowed down quite a bit. Any type of escalations that have been brought to his attention, he's resolved.
100%. He's on cue with that.
So again, in respect to providing you guys a good level of service and that in person to speak to,
Yes.
my understanding, we're good there.
Okay, why don't we try to shoot for the 15th, it's a Wednesday.
Okay.
It's the day after Valentine's Day, we're all gonna be in love. Lovely meeting.
Chocolates, Leo.
You got them, absolutely.
I'll bring the roses, you bring the tray.
Thank you. Who's gonna bring the tequila?
Yes.
I'll check the schedule, make sure it's okay.
We'll make sure.
Yeah, please do.
Who's gonna give the data report?
What I will do is we'll supply that to Ira and then Ira can.
No, today. I
Oh,
think.
Rita has the technical information that she's gonna share, and then we'll put it together in written format and we'll email that out. Yeah.
Gmail.com, so Donald gets it and he'll disseminate it amongst.
We'll just continue as a single point of contact, so we'll give it to Ira, Ira will send it, right?
Yeah, okay,
He's got it. I know he's got it.
okay,
Okay, we're ready.
we're ready to go.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
So we'll
so-
start off, Rita.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. In October, we had identified a total of 341 trouble calls. November, we did see a shortage by 8 trouble calls, or 333. Now, in our last visit, your concern was having contractors do the trouble calls. So what we did from the last meeting to now is put in-house. So servicing you now, trouble calls, it's only in-house. So we have around 4 to 5 technicians, depending on how the volume of work is going in Century Village. But we're majoring servicing in-house only. Okay?
That's great,
So
thank
as
you.
well, we're working hand in hand with the store members. So if anything goes through the store and they need a quick appointment or move up, we're able to work that. Most of the time, it's same day. The girls contact the technical department. And we're able to schedule either same day or next day. So that's a good thing. Okay, from the data, it shows that 0 to 3 days, we have around a 45% of when that job is created to when you actually receive a check. Okay, and 4 to 6 days are 36%. Okay, we still have around like a 19% where it's 7 days or more, but that depends on customers' request as well, so that varies. As of now, 378 cancellations, that's almost a 26%. So that's the data that we bring today. Overall, we're working with Ira on any escalations that you guys have, so we can attend to your needs as quick as possible. We are also working with the installation manager, which is Freddie Julian, in case that any outlets or any drops need to be referred and worked on. So we're working with the installations department as well, hand on hand.
Now, I do want to make mention, I think it's imperative, and this is data that we're going to share. Oh my gosh, I apologize. Let me just shut this off. It's always imperative to see where we were and where we're at, right? So again, when we take a look at the information based on the previous quarter, which is June, July, and August of last year. June, we were at 314. July, we had a significant decrease, but we think that is due to seasonal, 256, and then August, 347. So the numbers that Arida is sharing is right in line with where we were in respect to the reduction numbers, because remember, they were even higher when we had our first meeting, right? And so what the changes that Tech Ops has made, we've seen that decrease, and now we've been able to maintain it, even with the influx of residents coming back and restoring services now that they're here. So that's a great story in that respect, right? We'll continue to do better in that, to do what we can to continue to further and reduce that. I did also want to add, we did send legal notice to Comcast because we do know that they were using our lines and setting up in services and causing disruptions. So we did send the cease and desist to them. We really wouldn't hear anything back from them, but we're hoping that would.
They'll never respond.
John, are you aware of the underground work that happened at the Dover condominium?
No, sir.
The Dover condominium contracted directly with Comcast to put fiber optic lines on their property from the node, and it was purportedly for security cameras. I originally had stopped the job because I wanted to see a schematic, what a plan, because I want to make sure they're not affecting my infrastructure. And they eventually provided that. And then we let that, but it did switch the whole 9 yards. I could send you that information.
Okay.
Well, there's a couple of things there. One of them is these guys are capable of providing whatever, the security cameras and things like that.
For whatever reason, that
Did they check with these guys? Because-
no,
Huh?
I actually don't want to. They wanted to contract with Comcast for whatever reason that,
Hey, it's their prerogative. I'm
Right.
just wondering.
and I didn't get an inordinate number of calls about service being out for people's televisions, so yeah, they didn't hit none, let's put it that way. Right.
But we do know that some of the impact or service calls that we're receiving are due to Comcast technicians doing work and unplugging them and from our
Yes.
service line and so forth.
Yep.
So, what we did to kind of sway them the best that we can, is just send them a legal cease and desist order. So that their corporate office is fully aware.
Well, the other part of that is that they sign a bulk agreement with Comcast for the residents. Or are they being billed directly now that they have
To my
fiber?
knowledge, these are all retail customers.
Okay. Because obviously that'd be a violation of the agreement if they were to do that.
I mean, if Dover's 156 units or something, how many? If 3 buildings, if they were to sign their own bulk agreement with Comcast, we'd have a problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm bringing
I
up.
mean, I have no way of knowing that.
Hey, this is great. You're making the improvements and certainly it's a big decrease. And if you look at the percentages from that spring. So do you have any data of the 334? What are these trouble calls about? Well, they're going to be Comcast created issues.
I mean, they're still in respect to, the video, we're still seeing, you correct me if I'm wrong, we're still seeing customer education issues, wrong inputs, we're seeing battery issues, remote issues.
What, it would be great if you went back to the group here and you show them that. Because it basically gives them reassurance that they're not, these customers are not really having technical issues. They just need to be educated. They need to be taught to how to buy batteries at CVS or Costco.
We are seeing, just like any other technology does have its quirks.
But is there one overarching thing that you see that is a technical, not a?
Did you see anything at the eye in respect to the TiVo or?
So there is some equipment problems that we are currently working with the product team to see, to get more eyes on. But besides that, like he mentioned, customer education, we're seeing also black screen, converter, email problems. So those are the things that we're seeing. But we can, in the detailed information that John will send, we can detail.
Yeah,
that.
because I think it helps your case and it makes them feel better that in fact you're on top of the customers and all that. And the customer educator you're always gonna have. The people asking you to change their battery, you're always gonna have, but you should be held accountable for that because that's really.
No, it's all encompassing though, in respect.
You
to
have
the
a
report.
Qualm, the TiVo here?
Do we have a Quam TiVo?
Yeah, but you don't have TVRP here, correct?
No.
Okay. So,
But yeah, so in respect to them, I would say, obviously, a number of the residents still have the standard DVR. So those, that's the black screen issue that we have in that respect. So I mean, we'll be more than happy to put that together. TCs are also impacted by the internet, like you right mentioned, even if it's simple as saying email connections or adding new devices. But technically, that's not a TC.
no, this is why I think it's important if you provide that because people are gonna get some more credit because they're doing their job well and all that. So I think it's important to share with them. You know, and a big,
Of course.
picture.
And I think the other thing, and Mariel's gonna go into that,
Okay,
I think another significant positive is having the store here. And Mariel will go into
great, we can't wait to hear
what
that.
we've seen in respect to the visits, and then what are the top two questions or concerns that are being addressed at the store.
Correct. So as we anticipated, everybody, now that everybody was able to return from wherever it is that they actually live for the season. So for example, in October of 2021, we only had 300 customers walk through the door in October, whereas for this year in 2022, we had an uptick of 350. In November, we had over 500, and as well as December, over 500. The majority of those visits were to reconnect. I guess a lot of them did not call ahead. We do advise them to call ahead so that everything is ready when they return, but usually we're their first stop after they put down their bags to remove their seasonal status. And then the second biggest driver of traffic in the store are just payments. We do have a lot of customer education visits, but we do ask our customers, in the event that you need, for example, a lesson, a reminder, a refresher on anything, please remember, we do have this equipment in our stores, and our ladies would be more than happy to go over, how to use the remote, how to search for a program, a specific app, or like whatever the case may be. They have that resource at their fingertips to visit our store and have that one-on-one interaction with our employees.
Any good things or any concerns about the store?
Do you have any problems with people with TiVos with pixelation? You have any large complaints about that?
No.
I don't see anything
Data.
specifying pixelation. The
Drop
biggest
downs.
thing I do see here is that, or I guess the biggest issue, if it's not a seasonal on and off issue, is just the remote controls. A lot of people like to swap their remote controls. And to be fair, like once we do receive the majority of them, we realize that it's just maybe a battery issue. Like, we try to kind of like swap them out.
Mhm.
But the remote control, I would say, is the biggest driver. I don't see anything pertaining to pixelation here, at least.
But I think in that respect, by the time that you're aware of it, I mean, if a resident's bringing it to your attention, that's not to say that out of the 300 that we go through on a month, that none of them are due to pixelation, right? I'm sure with any residents come your way, even if it's, let's say, two for you, then, overall it may be 10 or 20, or let's say 30 overall out of the 8,000 homes that have the product. Some may have some situations where we go in and rectify the issue once it's brought to our attention. So I would say.
The reason why I ask is because I've had some complaints, and I myself, I can put two TVs on, one on the DTA box, I never had pixelation. But the TiVo box, every day. And it doesn't matter, morning, noon, night, whatever time it's on. all
Are
of
there
a
certain
sudden-
channels, are they local stations?
Doesn't
Are
matter.
Okay, that's something
The HD channels are not as affected as the lower channels.
so so you're talking about the standard def channels are the ones that are giving you headache? or it's giving-
All of a sudden, the picture gets very blurry and it's all over the place. But if I turn on the other TV's fine. So it's not the signal. I think there's something and this was something that I've heard from customers, and we've discussed this 6 months ago when you were here.
So what we can do, and we'll have the open discussion, obviously that means your high def, which the majority of channels are being broadcasted, is coming just fine. What you're saying is the lower def channels are the ones that are having complications.
Hmm.
And so, we can take a look with the product team and the engineering team to see if there's any type of quality issues that are coming through in respect to those standard channels. Because what we are seeing is that everything's moving even to, with like Leo was mentioning in respect to IPTV, where it's streaming and the feed from the broadcasters coming at a totally different rate. So the conversion nowadays is everything's moving to HD, and those standard channels eventually are going to be gone. Even if you purchase those rabbit ear antennas nowadays and you put those on your TV, you'll notice that the majority of the channels that you're receiving now are now HD quality. So I think eventually that's going to be completely phased out. Leo, correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely.
So that, again, will be something of the past. And even when you start moving over to the next phase of video programming through the IPTV, the standard depths are gone. It's all presented in high def.
But one of the things that you are, if you can do it, it'd be great to look at it globally, where we have all these things and see if in fact that it's an issue in other property, because this is not unique to here. If there is an issue you're talking about, you should be experiencing the same problem in other properties, right?
That's correct, and we have tools on the back end that we monitor all nodes within the property. If anything is off, we have preventive maintenance, where these tools tell us, okay, we have an issue, we'll address it. In the meantime, Century Village has not come up as having a major situation.
Great, that's good news.
So, but if you can give me your account and I can research.
Sure. Stu,
Yeah, that would be easy.
don't you have the same issue every once in a while?
I had the pixelation problems, which translated from one television to the other, and one in the living room, one in the bedroom.
Okay.
At the last meeting, I spoke to you, and two technicians came over to the house that same day with a new box, much larger one than the one that was originally there. They replaced it, and since that time, I've had no problem whatsoever with the pixelation. Both television sets have worked fine, and I have no complaints. And I was going to ask when the questions were finished, if there had been comments or calls to your office with people complaining about pixelation, because I thought it all emanated from something wrong with the boxes that were put in as the installations were done, because people who called us here that complained seem to have had their problem resolved when the box was changed. So, and then the last time you were here, somebody had shown, you showed us a new box that they were ready to put in. And I was wondering what the history of that's going to be in terms of replacing what is already here now.
So that's a great, it's a good segue, because I did also wanted to get some input, from the committee here. We are seeing, and Leo, being in the industry here and having connections to all the providers nationally. The conversion in respect to video servicing is coming through IPTV, and that was the box that I showed you. That's kind of where we're heading. We provided a proposal to convert over Century Village to IPTV with incorporating internet at an aggressive rate. We haven't heard anything back in that respect, and just in respect of.
We can talk about it again.
Yeah, so I think, that gives us an opportunity to take a look at that. Again, that's the next evolution of how we're going to be viewing TV. We are more than happy to offer a presentation, to go through it and showcase all the features to it. Like you mentioned before, it's significantly smaller than what you have today. I think it's a little bit bigger than the phone that I have here, but the overall functionality is superior by far. It's new technology that's just been released, and we would love to offer it here to Century Village and the residents.
I'm always reluctant to move away from the philosophy, if it's not broken, don't replace it,
Right.
leave it alone. And as it stands right now, I turn it on and it works, and I'm very happy, and my wife is not hollering.
Right.
So that
That's
makes
good
it
news.
even better for me, so I did, but yes, there are people who are having problems with it, and I don't know if it was part of the box itself originally, and the whatever was wrong with it is coming out over a period of time, or some were
it can be a number of
quality,
things.
others in the production line
Yeah.
had problems.
Yeah,
But
it can
right
be a
now
number
it
of
is-
things. Usually when you see tiling and something inside of the home that's creating some type of noise. So the techs go out there, they take a look at that, take a look at what the lines look like. They run a home certification, and that usually tells them where the problem is coming from. There's like a 2% chance that it's gonna be the box, honestly. You were part of that 2%. But yeah, it can be pretty much anything from a loose connector to a bad wire, to a bad box. So yeah,
But if it happens very infrequently,
it's the same. It can be some sort of a noise.
Why, the thing is that it's when we take our cars to the mechanics, we said, if we haven't experienced it,
right,
mechanic says,
Sure.
I don't see it. Sometimes you have to,
the other day I
Lucky.
had a recorded program. And all of a sudden, the screen went blank and it said video not available. And then the video came back and the sound didn't come back on a recorded program. So it lasted for about 30 seconds and then everything was fine. But I don't call technical support to Question, it's not a big deal if I miss a half a minute of a program.
Right.
Did you have a question? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'm still running into at least twice a week where the main big box in many cases doesn't turn on altogether. Then it turns on and it gives some sort of crazy signal. So I become my own technician, which is I pull the plug out.
Your name,
Wait
rank and serial
a
number.
couple of minutes, put the plug back in, and it takes 5 or 6 minutes, and then it starts to reboot. The small little boxes work fine. The big box, which I think this is the third one I had,
Maybe you got another 2%er here.
but I mean, I don't get into the pixelation. The pictures are very nice. It's just, especially when my wife wants to watch Jeopardy.
Oh, I would have a problem. That's what I watch every night.
Huge trouble.
But the issue is that the box doesn't turn on.
Yeah, doesn't. White screen, you said, or no?
Black screen.
Excuse me?
A white screen is what you see?
Nothing,
Nothing.
zero.
Okay. So, Art, to your point, you're right. The TiVo has had this issue because it is a new technology. The good news is that they've worked a lot of the bugs out. So I'm with you. We a lot of times don't like what we call over the edge technology. It's not, you know. So therefore, the great news though, you want to put that in there? Okay. So, it is the next best thing. I know that, some of us remember we went from black and white TV to color TV. So we're going the same way with IPTV. It's coming, but you are right. There's been some issues with TiVo and lots of other technology, by the way, that some of the other companies have used, a competitor to TiVo as well. And they worked out the bugs and all that. So I'm glad it wasn't you guys who went through it.
No,
Because there's a lot of you here.
I will tell you, the entire state of Ohio is converting over to IPTV in respect to our assets that we acquired a couple years ago when we.
There you go. Tell them about that experience.
So that's going really well. We're converting them over to entirely new TV platform. Out of the hundreds of thousands of customers that we have within that market, we're already just started converting them over. In the month of December, I've done, I believe, a little over 10%. And, with all the feedback that we're getting so far is extremely positive. We've done a few properties here in the state of Florida as well that have now converted to IPTV. They love it. Not just because of the delivery, but the size and just the capability, right? Because like I was mentioning before, it gives them access basically to everything that's in the market in respect to applications, because everything that we're using now seems to come with an app.
What's the median age of the people that have converted over?
I mean, these are 55 and up
Because,
communities.
people here have a hard time with a regular remote. You give them something that doesn't have any.
Well, this is the remote is actually a great thing. You want to tell them about it because talk to it.
The remote's almost
It's
identical.
Google Voice.
Yep.
So it's easier.
So
Right.
it is just like your TiVo where it's voice activated. The IPTV is the same. It's voice activated. The good news is if you have TiVo with us today, very similar in respect to the visual appearance, right? The guide is identical, right? So pretty much the entire software is going to be the same. The only difference between the two really, when you're looking at it, is the ability to add, like I said, the applications, right? Where you go into the Google store and say, okay, I want to download Disney Plus. I want to download Hulu.
So if you're watching NBC.
It's the same thing, same guide, same access to the
So
same
do
channel.
you push numbers to get to a channel?
You have
don't
the
have to.
option, or you can use your voice.
Yeah.
Just say NBC, just like.
So
the TV.
you literally, the software is Android, which is, Google, obviously.
Yeah.
So just think of it's a new computer in your home. So you literally talk to it and you say, and when you say Tom Cruise, it tells you that Tom Cruise movies are on channel 217 or 435, all the movies he's been in. You want to buy some of his movies he's selling online, all that kind of stuff.
Right. So I mean, you're partnering basically with Google, right?
Yeah.
So even the AI
It
function.
does away with the streaming box like Roku or.
Right. Yeah, every app that's
Yep.
available through the Google store would be available to you.
And one more thing. It's wireless, correct?
It is 100%.
So you don't need, so you get one box or whatever your contract calls for. And if you have a fourth, fifth TV, you don't need something up there. In my backyard, I have a TV. I don't have a box out there. It's wireless Wi-Fi. And it doesn't have to be smart TV either, you know, so.
Right, so
it
if you
doesn't-
wanted to move the TV, let's say from this side of the wall, that side of the wall, you don't have to worry about the wiring, you just
Yeah.
move the box simply right over.
So
And
it's a small thing that connects to an HDMI port on the TV.
so what I've done in my personal home is
Or
I'll,
wireless.
yep, it's wireless. I'll do a double stick tape. And then I'll just tape it to the back of my TV, so I don't even see it. And it's completely, the
Right,
only
but-
thing,
There's no HDMI cable that goes from that device to the TV.
right, but if you do it behind the TV, yeah, you're
Yeah.
just putting the
Right, I
HDMI.
mean, it's, you know, it's like a fire stick.
All right, can we get back to City Village matters? please?
Yeah.
These things are good. But I think you realize, I'm gonna say there's 40% of the people in this village, all they worry about is television.
Right.
And you guys really haven't come through to the expectations of television. Over 2 years ago, close to 3 years ago, when did Reagan leave your company? I don't know. But he promised that the GSN network was going to be here. That was very popular with this community here. It's never materialized. You took the MLB network off. That's a very popular, you said it was too expensive. My sources said that only went up 6%. That wasn't a big increase for you guys to take. You said you were going to look into getting that back. You've never said anything more about it. We don't have that channel. These are customer issues for the people that watch TV. The internet section, and I use the internet, don't get me wrong. The internet section is not really where we have a whole lot of complaints at.
Right.
It's the television, the selection of stations that you said you were gonna have, and you didn't have. And that's the real big problem.
You want to address that or do you want to
Yeah.
get back to
Well,
us?
and unfortunately, I don't have any information pertaining to, you know, the discussion with GSN in that respect. You know, obviously, I, for the most part, we've maintained the same lineup for the past 15 years. I will agree with you that there was a change in respect to MLB. I'm not gonna question your source we're not gonna open up the debate on what the increase was. But unfortunately, it was something that we could not come to terms with the MLB. Otherwise, we've again maintained the same channel lineup that we've had now for a number of years, and that has not changed.
Is Stars still on your network?
Stars, you're still getting stars, you're still getting epics, nothing's changed in that respect. So I would say out of the year so far, yes, that's been one drop. Newsmax was another, but that's still free that you can watch through the internet. Right. You know, unfortunately for us, it was a charge, but they're still offering it free on their website. Leo again has worked with all providers throughout the country, is fully aware and can also agree with the fact that we're not the only ones that made modifications to their lineup. You know, AT&T dropped the NFL network. Now they're losing the Sunday ticket is going to Yahoo, so that's not going to be a service that they have.
NFL network here either.
You know, Comcast has made numerous adjustments to their channel lineup as well, way more than the one that we have. So, I mean, we are seeing a significant, and I brought this to the committee's attention last time, that as an industry whole, we're seeing significant increases in the rates that the broadcasters are requesting of us. We've done a good job of absorbing as much as possible. You know, Telemundo was a big hit that we kept. AMC is another significant increase that we absorbed it. We haven't passed it along in respect to video. And continue to see those. You know, we are starting to see, you know, Amazon, I'll share with you today, Amazon did acquire Epics, you know, and that's looking to change over to MGM Plus. You know, it's the content wars right now. So the question is, how is, you know, Amazon purchased it? What is their intent with that content, right? Are they going to go ahead and monopolize it and say, okay, well, all the licensing and content here, we're going to exclusively be the owners and we're not going to go ahead and share that feed? We don't know. As a cable provider, we're doing everything that we can to work with the various companies to ensure that we can provide you as much content as we can without having any impact to any type of fees or rates that you guys endure.
Couple things on that. We can help a bit. We will ask them for the channels they dropped there, you know, last 2-3 years. We're going to compare it to Comcast.
Sure.
And I agree with John that it's a major problem in the US. The power of never mind local stations, we're going to talk about it in a minute, but the programmers, Newsmax, you mentioned that used to be free to do.
Yes.
And Newsmax came out and said like $5 a customer per month. So, a lot of systems dropped them. AT&T was one of them. DirecTV dropped them. Maybe even Comcast and some of the others, if they ever carry them, I don't know. So we'll do the research for you. I'll be happy to, for the next meeting, make sure that you don't make me a liar. That we're ready to do an analysis for you. So I will tell you that I agree with you 100%. It is a problem. Sometimes I hate to say it because I hate government regulation, but something has got to be done down the road because it's completely out of hand. The other great news, though, is that some of the local stations, they're charging 25-50% more. And Comcast, if you did not have a block, which you've had from day one here, I believe it's like $20 in addition to what they're advertising on TV. You get another $20 for the broadcast station because, by the way, they happen to own the NBC network, and therefore they're getting $5 billion a year out of it. So they're not going to try to solve the problem because they $5 billion will go away. And every other station has Mr. Warren Buffett with Channel 10 in town here for $1 billion. There's a reason, actually, in Dade County. There's a reason for that because now they have a monopoly on the, if you want to watch NBC programming and you know, all those things. So it is a problem. It's going to a complete, honestly, the cable industry didn't start paying for local stations until 1996 Cable Act, when Bill Clinton passed that. So it's only been a reason. And when we are negotiating, you negotiate 3-year deals with them, you're basically locking in the price for 3 years, but then they can double and triple after the 3 years. So for years, the industry never paid for any of the local stations. That's how cable TV grew, but now it's gone completely out of hand. It's a problem for all the industry, but we'll come back with you with some analysis. Don't forget, by the way, there's also regional sports fee that Comcast charges if you didn't have a ball, like these guys might. It's also $7.50, maybe $10.50 now.
I think it's
Something crazy like that.
$10.
Yeah, it's over $10 just to the right to see the losing Marlins and the losing Miami Heat, or who else am I forgetting? So yeah, it's a problem. So we will come with a report to you next month, okay?
Yeah.
I hear you loud and clear. We're also gonna find out what, if you can buy it over directly through a website or something, and the cost for it, okay? But we'll report to you.
And I'll compare all the different places you can get it.
Yep.
Just-
All right? Next.
We had discussed the way back when the ability to get a refund for lack of service. And it turns out, unless something changed, we asked if Breezeline has a record of where the service goes down. Now, a lot of the people were really not informed that the only way they can get a credit is to call and place. I've been down for 2 weeks. Okay.
We shouldn't have too many of those.
I'm just saying. Now, at that point, they said, Breezeline, that we have no way of tracking it. And I'm saying, I come in and I say, I've been out for 2 weeks. I'd like a credit. They're going to just write me a check or give me a credit. No, there has to be a way that they know it's a two-way street.
I'm gonna let them answer, right, because it's their system, but I would tell you that, when you call the call center, they don't have access to that. But the technical people have reports of every single channel and what percent of, availability you had on every channel and all that. So you want to address that? This
Well,
question?
we run into it. Let's take a look at the data that we have today.
Right, tell them.
So if a customer is calling today and saying that, hey, I've been out, they put in that request right then and there, we'll go ahead and compensate them. But typically, if it's my question to you, are you referencing a situation where you're out completely out of service for 2 weeks without contacting Breezeline?
I just use that as an example.
I know, but that's what I'm trying to look at a real life example. In most cases, if we have an outage as a consumer, right? I know that as soon as you're experiencing it in respect to TV outage and an internet outage, the first response that you're going to have is to call us as customer service and ask for us to react. That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's any way to go ahead and run into a situation where
I'm
you're
not
gonna be
saying
without.
I'm not saying you don't service when you get a call. I'm saying that just like you don't hesitate to bill us when something comes up, you should be just as well doing the other side. You know that my unit is down for 2 days. I should get a credit for those 2 days. Now, I have a certain kind of feeling, for instance, who gets the credit?
The customer does.
Who is the customer?
I see.
The customer is Yugo, right? Because Yugo is the contractor, you're the supplier. And quite frankly, on the budget of Century Village, I would say that cable, and that's without the excess because we don't pay for that, is like anywhere from 3 to 3.5 times greater than any line item in our budget. That's a big chunk of dough. Okay, I'm not saying you're not worth it. I'm not saying another company couldn't do a better job. I'm just saying it should be free, quote, quote. Because if you're giving credit, the credit comes to us and we are paying the bills. And I would think with all the modern conveniences and apparatus you have, you would know just like that. And you have a billing department. You don't hesitate to send out a bill. You don't hesitate for the extra charges. I think that we're entitled to the credits for the downtime.
But we run into a situation.
Hey, let me just say
Go
something
ahead.
here. First of all, you shouldn't shut up today because you got a lot of work to do for the next meeting. What we owe you is a review of your contract. So rather than speaking about what it is out there, let's talk specific. Let's look at your agreement in terms of what they agreed to and you guys signed for. So if we can do that, we'll get back to the specifics of it. They do know when they have a problem outage. I hope I don't want to hear of somebody that's out with two weeks. That is so unusual in the industry.
I used it.
Yeah, I know you did, but and I get your point. I do.
Could be a lot of 2 days amongst 8,000 units.
Oh, you mean individually?
Yeah.
Oh, because so now we're back to go ahead.
But again, it runs into a situation where there's a number of different variables that happen to every one of these TCs. Is it a TV issue that could exclude completely from the internet? That TV.
It's an outage. So an outage is in the old days. I don't know what you guys.
But what can that be caused from? Could that be that?
No, an outage is very much you guys.
But what I'm saying is that if there's so many different variables to go ahead.
No, but
and
hear me out.
Yes.
Outage in the industry for the 40 years I've been around has been 3 customers. So if you have 3 customers, same problem, that's an outage. And an outage of all the channels is not one channel and all that. And then the number of hours. So typically, so it is defined in the industry. It is defined a contract. I understand both sides here. I'm not saying this or that. So let's come back to.
We can review the agreement 100%.
And let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
Are you done or no? Or you have some more?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, are you done with your questions or you have any more?
Well, I hear an answer, but I don't know what the answer is.
The answer is we're gonna read the agreement. We're gonna give you a detail. We're gonna talk to them in the next meeting on the 15th.
Right.
We will have an answer as to what the contracts call for. But I think you're gonna find out that really it didn't meet the outage probably. I'm pretty sure because that's defined that way. All channels out 3 customers or more, it's an outage. When does that happen? Hardly ever. If maybe a hurricane, maybe, stuff like that.
That's a good thing because to me, an outage is I'm out. My particular.
You don't have you know what my definition of an outage is? 1 minute for me. So if I'm calling them.
24 hours is, I believe.
You had a 24-hour outage?
That's more than once. And I'm not gonna, I'm running around.
Can you look into his account?
Yes.
I
So
think
if you would,
it's
not right now, obviously.
Yeah, it's not just me. We got 7,854 units here.
I'm gonna be shocked if I hear that because I don't think so, but.
Right, and we get customers that don't know who to go to. And they say, I'm out, who do I call? They didn't even bother calling in to find it, getting credit.
But they're gonna look into it,
Right.
and we're gonna come back next month to see, they gotta see the story,
Right.
okay? That's what
The facts.
that's what he's saying. It's useless now to discuss it.
Right.
Richard, you had your hand up.
I brought this up at the last meeting, the contract on the second page puts all the responsibility on the client, the customer. And I said at that time that given the demography of this community and the expertise of artificial intelligence and technology that Breeze Line
Hey,
has.
believe it or not, they have all this that you're talking about.
Yeah, they should
He's talking about creating a specific algorithms.
Can I get to finish?
No, you guys.
Do I get to finish?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. They should be able to automatically, when a person calls, log it in. When the technician gets there, he says what the reason is and then assign credit or not.
Except for the last part, they have these systems in place. I'm telling you, this is, you guys do this every day. You have a call center, you also have your technical support, a call center as well, and you guys keep track of all of that. And it is kept, a lot of it's through artificial intelligence and all that. What is not in place, and no, I'm not aware of any company in the world, even particularly US, that basically gives the technician the right to say, there's a trouble call and all that. He can make, or she can make a note on that, and when they close out that trouble call, there's communication. It's probably automated these days. Used to be through a radio in the old days.
So the suggestion has been made at the previous meeting that if we have the capability to look into potentially working with third parties of creating an algorithm to go ahead and automate that process. And unfortunately today, that is something that we.
No, but I don't want to give them misinformation or set the proper expectations. Because I don't know of any system in the world that allows your technician, when they visit the home, to say, yeah, this person's, 17 hours, the other one is, the cable system in broadband world doesn't work that way.
Correct.
It's basically, they do have the data. I don't want you to leave here thinking that they don't. They have all the data you're talking about. But it doesn't translate into a technician at a home, right? Your people, right? Those are your people.
And that's what I was sitting back thinking. Yeah, you were experiencing an outage. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's a faulty or our fault.
It's not an outage. It's
not really an
electrical.
outage. There's a number of things that can be going on in your home. There can be an education, there can be power related outside in the building that's causing our system to go down. There's a ton of different variables.
I'm not
affected.
arguing with you, but it's pretty evident if I'm having a problem. And your technician comes in and says, I gotta replace this because it's no good. Now it's not my problem, it's yours. It isn't as big of a bookkeeping job if you would think about it, because we have 309 associations, right? You go, Breeze Line is charging per unit, but the basic cost is coming out of the general budget.
We understand.
So the credit really has to go just to one.
But also.
You go.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
You
The
go.
question also.
Let's
We'll
not
take
keep
a look
beating
at it,
this thing
yes.
to
Yeah.
death.
But
You're
we're
gonna
not
come
beating
back
it
next
to
month
death, and we're bringing
with
up
the
certain
proper
facts.
information so that we know how widespread this is.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
All right.
And I think the other,
Agree to that.
if we take a look at it monetarily though, right?
Yeah.
In respect to even what we're seeing in TCs in the overall, we're talking tens, the possibility of it being somewhere, let's say 10 to 50 total individuals. But you also, monetarily speaking, looking at it, the rate of being $30 for a 1 day outage is $1. So I mean, the monetary credit also really wouldn't amount to as much as we're thinking in respect to the overall encompass of the rate.
Yeah, let's come back with the data.
But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's an internet outage, then each customer gets billed separately, so that's not.
Right,
that's
that's
not-
correct. That's another.
That's
thing,
an
right?
issue, right?
And the difference in
You're right.
Next month.
So that would be directly to the.
Okay.
Right, 100%.
But the
I've
general.
gotten a credit on an internet outage.
What's next?
We agree.
Okay,
Thank you.
next.
Well, no, the questions.
No, I understand. We're gonna, next month, we'll have
Yes.
we'll have numbers and we'll have some kind of resolution to the
The
question.
numbers will get to you prior to that, but yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Right.
Thank you.
What's next on your agenda, sir?
Well, we're still working on the performance. I have, evidently, there's still some issues with, this just happened to come up yesterday, where people are getting serviced and they're getting charged a rolling fee. Customer came in yesterday, was charged $100 to put a DTA box in. I spoke to Ira said he was worked on removing that fee from the customer. And she doesn't know what the two means, because there was one DTA box hooked from the wall to the TV. It says two, doesn't understand why, but she was charged $100.
Okay, let me take a picture of this.
It's yours. I have another copy.
Yes, we'll take a look into that. Not
And
sure.
Ira's also working, and I sent the lady to the Breeze Line office to correct, because she did not ask for the high-speed internet and the $15 charge for the modem. I told her to go there and straighten that out.
Absolutely.
Evidently, this is one of those situations like we had a few months ago, where the woman came in and she was said, oh, you want internet? It's gonna be $69. You want the modem? It's $15. She was not made aware of the package that we have.
So what we'll do is we'll take a look at the account, see if this is something that just transpired, we'll see if we can pull up the call. And hear the conversation between the representative and the customer, and kind of get a good idea of what you're.
It was very simple, because she's on auto pay and she got a bill for $225 and couldn't understand why, and came here. She didn't even have a bill. So she had to go to the Breeze Line office who printed that, and she came back to me, and that's when I called Ira, said there should be no rolling fee, there should be no $100. And why is this woman paying $224 or $118 a month for basic service?
So we're absolutely gonna take a look at it.
She was supposed to go there to this afternoon to remove that high-speed charge and go back to the TiVo package that we have.
Understood.
Okay, and Ira said he had taken care of the $100 rolling fee, but this is still, this just happened yesterday. So there's still an issue with training your people or whoever's doing the billing that shouldn't be going on. And I'm sure that a lot of people like this lady on auto pay, that they don't check their bill, and all of a sudden she's used to paying $118. She gets $224, and that's why it lit up.
Right. No, and this will require additional research, but
Okay,
we'll
I
look
just-
into it. I appreciate it.
All right.
But I'm glad to hear that between Ira and.
Oh, yeah, I have no problem with Ira. We have a situation, he takes care of it. And I know he was under the weather and he could only do so much, but we both agreed to send her to the office and change her service. That would be the.
Yeah, if you don't mind, reach out to them directly.
Absolutely.
That's our company, and then report back to the.
Yeah, there is a phone number on there, that's on there, that's the lady.
We're able to pull up the account, so yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. What other great things?
Oh, that's,
If you don't mind, I think I had to step out when Richard brought up what he's been talking about all along, this additional charge. What was the response to that?
So they're talking about the $6.99.
High-speed network
fee.
recovery fee.
There you go.
Yes, you had.
I asked three questions. One was the ACP. I've been trying to find out how many CVers have enrolled in that program. And the other two were Misery Loves Company. And how has the jump, it was originally about $2.50, 6 or 7 years ago in September, it went up to 15 something. How has that helped Century Village?
What do you guys use that network
So
recovery
let's-
fee for?
Well, we won't have to go there. So there were three questions that you submitted by email. One,
Yeah.
asking
They
questions in respect to the ACP. That's a government program assistance program they have
Yeah,
to
I had
assist with
somebody
the
ask me
internet.
about that. Yes,
I'd like to.
So I've reached out to corporate. I can see it in respect to a higher level of how many total participants, but I cannot see it at a property level.
Can't participate.
So unfortunately that I cannot provide how many on just within Century Village.
when somebody requests that, they have to fill out a whole bunch of forms. and
No,
everything.
no. They go directly to an FCC national qualifying.
Right, they go to.
And we will-
government.
Yeah, no, if you don't have it, please make sure you provide that.
All right, so they don't go to they don't go to Breeze Line.
You can do it on.
Well, you can go through them. That would be another way.
I had somebody ask me about that the other day. They said that they had a whole bunch of forms that they had to fill, and they didn't understand it.
You could do it online.
It all depends. There's a qualification. So it's based on income, it's based on age, it's based on, are you having, food stamps, for instance, or any government. I'm not so sure about Medicare, but Medicaid, yes.
All right, so is this a
So-
$30?
This is a $30 that is paid directly from, don't worry about them because they get paid.
Yeah.
So the money gets paid by the federal government to them directly. It is a 5-year guarantee. So if they qualify, it's a great program. They pay zero.
Yeah, so this person wasn't that savvy about how to do it.
That's the problem we're having nationwide. We do a lot of affordable housing nationwide. And what we are doing, we're qualifying the entire building. I realize that not everybody here will qualify.
You can't do.
But in affordable housing, we're qualifying the entire, so they don't have to go through the hoops.
Mhm.
Some of these people may not have internet, they may not have a computer, they may not have a
Right,
phone,
yeah.
they might not speak English, those kind of things. So we can help a lot with that because we do a lot of that and yes, you can go through them. The problem is not necessarily them, as an industry, if you end up in the Philippines or someplace, they don't know what the people are talking about. So we'll help you with that. We'll get you the qualifier, what qualification and then all that. We'll get their information, so you have their information, and we'll give you the national verifying program. And if you qualify, it's a great thing.
Breedline has advertised and they put it in the Our Village blog and.
Yeah, but it's not that easy to navigate, as Ken's is saying. So we're aware, we can help. We can.
It's a government program, so we're still at the mercy of their approvals.
Oh, yeah.
You have to approve first.
If we can get it qualified through the FCC, it becomes easier for you, because now they're dealing with that website. And there's a whole bunch of, like, for instance, Comcast has a list of every school in the nation. So if somebody, is and there's a school lunch program, that home qualifies, because, they're in the free lunch program. It's a typical federal government stuff. It's not easy to deal with it. We can help, and with their help, okay?
Do we have any new business that we need to discuss?
Well, we should talk about old business, and that is the bulk internet that takes care of a lot of these problems.
I had a question, I had a technical question.
Oh, here's the chairman, so.
Go ahead.
All right, so my question is, somebody came to me and said that they're doing speed tests on their internet. And the highest they were able to get, maybe 50 megabits download, and they're paying for 100. So they called up Breezeline, and Breezeline said, that's all you're gonna get. But then they went to 5 gigahertz instead of 2.4 on their gateway, and on the 5 gigahertz, they got 100.
He's got an answer to that.
Now, I know on my system is set up so it automatically goes between 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. So I don't have to do anything. But I don't know if the new gateways that you guys put in have an automatic feature, or you have to have a separate SSID for each one of the.
No, they come automatically set to do the smart Wi-Fi, where it pretty much guides you from 2.4 to 5.
So you don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do anything, but most people want to change the names of their networks.
But I have one network name, and it goes either to 2.4 or 5.
Yeah, and
Only
it just
one
depends on what the customer wants. If they
Well,
want.
the customer doesn't know. It's up to the technician to educate the customer.
Well, some customers do know. and
Well,
some customers-
most of the customers here don't.
A lot of
Right.
customers prefer that we do separate the bands. Why? The 5G network is a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I
than
know.
2.4. So they want to be able to kind of monitor it themselves or move it back and forth themselves. That they're
Not the customers in this village.
But I do
We know
want
them as well.
Yeah, I mean, you might have
but
5 out of.
Let's just say that there's a customer that has their modem in their office or in a master bedroom. If they use their laptop there, most of the time, they prefer to stay on a 5G network. So they
As
would,
long as you're not at the other end of where the modem is, right?
yeah, if they're near the modem, they prefer to be on that faster network.
Right.
But if it switches automatically, it doesn't matter.
It switches automatically. Some people prefer to see it. And
Yes,
yes, I deal with customers on a daily basis.
Yeah, but I mean, people come to me, I'm the president of the computer club here, so I get most of the people that come to me, they don't know all this stuff. And all they're telling me is, how come I can't get any faster speed? And I explain to them the difference between the 2.4 and the 5. And I tell them, if you log into your gateway, and They don't wanna log into their gateway, they gotta call you guys to come
Yeah,
out.
we tell our technicians to separate the bands for that exact reason.
Oh, okay.
So if a customer's complaining about speeds, we make sure that they log into the proper network where they should be getting the higher speeds. 2.4 network is gonna have a little bit more noise, more interruptions, so you'll see less speeds on that network. Also, if you're running a speed test, we prefer you to be wired in, because that takes away the wireless card, situation out of it. So that's the best way to run a speed test, so that's.
So you don't suggest having it switch automatically, is what you're telling me?
We prefer not. We prefer to go ahead and let the customer handle it themselves.
But the majority of the new devices are utilizing the 5 MHz anyways, more so.
They're automatic,
2.4.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
but most of the internet of things use a 2.4.
And then the other thing that we're also looking at, right, is that a number of the newer products that are released electronic devices are utilizing the 5 at a higher bandwidth, and the 2.4, they're not processing as fast as they would be on the 5 because they were engineered to
Right,
go
so,
ahead and utilize.
but some customers only have the 2.4, they don't even have the 5 set up.
Right,
So
and that's something that we can help if that's the case.
Right, but they're not educated enough to even
That's
know.
not, both networks come set up. If you're not seeing both networks, that means that the gateway is utilizing the smart Wi-Fi. You're not gonna see the 2.4 and the 5G separated. You would think that the 5G is not working, but it's there, that it's just working in the back end. We separate it so the customers can see it and they can go in it themselves.
All right, guys, this
Yeah.
technical conversation, while it sounds fascinating, is above the level of over half the people in this room. So why don't you guys have a private conversation?
Actually, that's why I brought it up, because it's above the level of most people that have it in their house.
So let's have that outside.
Yeah, and also it helps that he's the president of the computer club, because he's the one disseminating this information that you want your trucks to.
Very good.
Absolutely.
So, an outstanding item from, about a year ago is their proposal they gave you about including internet in your vault. Obviously, I would think that you need to wait until your budget season for 24, right?
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, you should be looking at it in terms of because things have changed over time. So we asked it for what percent of their customers here have their internet service, and you can update this up, but we have 61%.
Yeah, that remains.
Okay, that's good, okay. 4% of you are buying from Comcast, 20% of you have DSL copper with AT&T. So 85% of you are using the internet and paying for it. Some of you may be using your phone, that's that. So what they came back with is to go from your current agreement, the same programming, we talked about possibly doing the TYP, is that
Yes.
true? So you'll get the latest and greatest technology, if you want it, you know that, and the contract will remain the same in terms of term, so it would end the same time, this would be an upgrade. They would give you symmetrical speeds, which you don't do today, correct?
The bulk speeds would, actually, that's a typo. It would be 3 over 20, because we're not doing it.
Oh, okay, you're doing, okay, I got you. So 300 over 20. By the time it would be 300, it includes the modem. So this person being charged the $15, that would go away, and shouldn't have been anyway, if they're gonna special deal. And basically, instead of what your $32.75, which is what you're paying for video today, so for another, what is that, $21, you're buying 100%. You gotta pay for all the units, but it becomes a total of $55, $54.99, including the broadcast fee.
Every government fee and every non-government fee.
No, 51.
I'm with you. You and I are the same page on that. We'll talk. So if you look at the next 7 years, and this was done in the fall, so obviously we'll change some of this, is that you'll be spending, to your point, the way the new agreement would be $39 million. It will be an even percentage of your fee. However, you're currently paying the average of all those companies you're paying from is you're paying the $32.75 in the average internet retail bill, and we're assuming a very low rate. It's $39 because of the specialty you guys have and all that. When you look at the spend between, it's $72 million, but you keep buying in retail, even at a discount, versus the savings for this community is $32 million over 7 years. So however, your fees will go up on that, but the community, the individuals, all of you will be saving $32 million. So it is something to talk about.
Leo,
Question.
currently,
Jesus Christ.
currently,
Up your hand.
our bill is calculated on the contract. What Yugo provides and what goes into our annual budget. I sort of recall this kind of offer like 2 months ago or 3 months ago. It would require the individual unit owners to make a separate payment because the budget doesn't cover another.
No, we know that, and we talked about it, so and I don't know your internal, I think I do, but let me guess. You're probably doing your budget in the fall, right?
No, it's done on the treasury.
Okay.
We have to submit our budget by October.
Right, so this is why when you talked about, you should start thinking about it. If it doesn't work for you, no, but it is the savings to the homeowners. In fact, I'm sorry, and then Richard waiting.
The problem is that a lot of people, I don't know what your percentages are buying. What is the percentage of the population that is not buying?
40%.
15.
Stop. You have 25, if you only have 61% that have internet, that means that 39% do not have it or are using alternative.
Yeah, but they're paying
places.
retail,
It doesn't matter what they're paying.
It doesn't matter. what they're paying.
No, you look at the number, 100 is 100. 61% are using Breeze Line. 39% are not choosing to use Breeze Line or another company. And what the proposed contract is forcing that 39% to pay for it, whether they want it or not. And this is one of the reasons why we tabled it. And we said, no.
That's not, you are 100% correct. 100 is 100, right? But they're paying, so 4% of you are paying,
But Leo, they're choosing to pay that.
because they don't know any better. They don't have but here we have to. We're gonna table this and we're gonna talk a lot about it. It's only January, right?
No, I understand. But this is one of the reasons why we tabled it.
I know.
Because to your way of thinking, it makes sense. To our way of thinking, and there are certain individuals that are paying a monthly basis for Breeze Line and are bringing Comcast in to get the same service. They're double paying and they don't care.
They don't know any better. So what, I started 40 years ago in the cable industry. We would knock us, not me, but my people would knock on the door and say, hey, let me tell you about cable TV. I have rabbit ears. That only lasted until they realized what they were missing. They were missing all the other programs of cable TV. And the same thing was faced several years ago when you guys decided to do bulk video because you saved millions of dollars.
I
By
understand.
doing an agreement. So I'm not trying to sell you anything.
My first day in tech school,
I'm not.
my teacher told me the one thing you can't fix is the loose nut behind the wheel. So, Richard, go ahead. You had your hand up.
Yeah, two things. First, the high-speed network delivery fee goes away if we go into.
Yes, that's a good point. We haven't even put that in here.
He mentioned those who don't use internet. We also have in this, as people were talking earlier, half the village disappears in the summer, but they would have to.
We're ready for you. Ready for you. Here we
Unless
go.
they can put it on a suspension, you're gonna have a hard time.
Or is it portable?
The portable, not unless you live in Indiana or some of the other states that you're in.
So is it portable wherever Breeze Line operates?
You're, in respect to the IPTV, it'll function within your home.
There you go.
The app, on the other hand, you can go ahead and pull TV you can watch TV outside your home. Utilize the
Continental
app,
US.
But not yes.
The continental
not-
US.
Yes, correct.
So you
Not
can take
utilize-
that little box he talks about with you back home and you can watch it as long as you have internet up there.
No,
Okay.
the internet, the app.
Yeah.
You have to download the app for your
I
phone.
meant that.
And
Sorry.
so right now, your app only works when you're in your home,
No, the app will give you your full channel lineup, right?
anywhere in the United States.
Give me a second. The app gives the ability to watch your entire channel lineup from your home. if you go to another state, due to have regulations, right, we cannot present to you local channel feed
Okay,
outside your home area.
but you can get everything else.
So you can pretty much get like your TNT or USA, your basic cable, you can go ahead and view it at another location. However, your locals will only be functional within your home.
So right now, everything is only functional with your home if I use the
Correct.
BreezeLine app.
Correct. Okay. So again, there's significant, like Rich just mentioned, I think the network recovery fee, the reason why we presented this last time more so is we've seen, not just BreezeLine, but we've seen retail increases across the entire spectrum of the industry. Comcast just had their annual increases take place, and so did AT&T. Consumers don't have any control over that. So what we were doing is we were empowering the community to say, hey, I have the ability to have a complete say in what my residents pay. I can lock it down per the agreement. I can exactly say what my annual increases are, and I can pretty much dictate everything in that respect, except for Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam's gonna bypass anything that we could do regardless.
Fees are fine.
So this empowers you to go in and tell the residents, hey, we can lock it. Yes, I'm paying $70 with AT&T. Well, hey, if you go with this new bulk service through the community, it's an increase of $20. That's it. You got the 300 megs, and you're also going to have your boxes upgraded. Wow, that's great. So chances are that 20% that you will see, once we inform those individuals of the option, chances are they're gonna say, hey, that sounds like a good deal, but you're right, there's probably some that say, you know what, I don't care if it's free,
You're
I'm not
gonna,
leaving.
the number is going to be 10% will take it, and the other 90% are not going to take it. They don't care.
Right,
They don't care.
right. No, and that's truly, that's a
So,
possibility of what we may see.
That's what the officers discussed, that we can't be unfair to everybody here. We have to look at the overall, if you had
And you-
80%,
and you
if
do.
you had 80% or 85%,
So-
it would be an easy sell.
But it is 85%.
No, but you have,
So
you have outside vendors that are supplying that. And there is not,
They're paying it.
I understand that. But
85%.
They don't care.
What do you mean? Now when they see, so first of all, we have plenty of time. We're
Okay,
covered,
yeah.
right?
It's just a
This
conversation.
is
Yeah.
for October,
Right.
or sometimes leading up to
Right.
October. And all that, so we have plenty of time
Right.
for you to talk to people, educate them and all that.
And
And
you
you'll
also-
see it at the end of the day, that they will be saying, this is very conservative numbers. It's gonna be higher than 31 million.
Well,
That's a lot of money. As an individual, and I'm gonna deal with a seasonal next, is $4,000. So if you're paying today to them retail or to Comcast or AT&T, you're gonna be saving $4,000 over 7 years. Number two, number three, we'll do the math on the seasonal. And typically, they break, first of all, you should keep your internet active here while you're up
Well,
north.
if they have cameras or things
Thank
like
you
that,
very
we can
much.
use them to get those devices.
Yeah,
You know,
it's happening.
You know, leak detectors and things like that will help them.
Lead detectors.
Leo, an easy solution to this is based on your own numbers. You can have BreezeLine present this program, and anybody who wants to pay the difference themselves could join. And so if you got 60 or 65% of the village, that's a big
So
chunk.
this is, by the way, this is the same thing that happened at Century Village Pembroke Pines, our customer. Century Village Boca, Century Village Deerfield. Deerfield's video only today. They're gonna go, and then next contract's gonna be a double block. Boca is already a double block. In Pembroke Pines, they did a video only. We went back 2 years later with Comcast, and guess what they have? It makes economic sense. We don't need to discuss it today.
What about Cypress Lakes?
We can find out. That's a double walk, I'm pretty sure.
Double walk.
The thing is, when you look at someone's pocket, look at whose pocket you're looking in. And there is a different demographics from a
That's part of it.
financial side on every single condominium, including the other three.
So the other argument we get this all the time, we deal with a lot of senior communities, is I don't have a computer. With this new TV box, then you will have a computer, it's called a remote. So now you can just ask, anything, and you have a computer, a thing will answer back to you, you see it on your screen and all that.
You guys
So
know,
we're used to all these arguments.
you would only do this if you had 100%.
Yes.
You wouldn't do it for 80%.
no,
We already have 61%, and that number continues to climb.
Well, then stay there.
all right.
We'll look at it. We'll
So
look at it.
look at it. You look into, like you said, to me, it's a numbers game. Redo your numbers, come back with the
I need new numbers
proposal
for you.
that we might want to chew at or try to present. From a business point of view, it makes sense for you. From a business point of us, it doesn't make sense.
It will.
Most of the associations have gone up between $40 and $60 a month.
Yeah.
Plus this year. So to add an additional $20 or $30 to 40% of the village
Yeah, that's all.
does
part of
not
the
make
discussion.
sense to us. You know, a lot of
Yeah, Todd.
associations had
You're
$100
getting hit with
$100 a month
insurance
insurance
increases.
and everything else. So this is why you just have to hit the stop button when you're ready. Okay, come back next month. We'll discuss it. If there's anything else,
Phone in with that.
thank you. Oh, here.
We can talk.
All right, throw the phone in with it.
Hey.
We can talk.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you.
Gladys is my neighbor.
Okay.